Hey everybody, welcome back to Not Your Day Job. I have a special guest today. I'm so happy she made time to come today to come talk to me. The visual and musical artist, CJ Monet. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
All right. You know, I met you at Golden Belt at your art studio.
Yeah.
So what was your first inspiration that got you into visual art?
I think my grandma, growing up, she drew. And so I always loved like watching her. She would like draw us on all of our birthday cards and like do little doodles. And I'd be like, Mimi, can you draw blah, 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 blah. And so my mom kind of found early I didn't have, like, I wasn't really a sports kid. Like I wasn't really into sports, didn't really love it, but I was very creative. And so like really the only thing I did growing up, like as far as extracurricular stuff, was art. And so I did painting lessons and then just kind of went from there.
Okay. And is there like a consistent theme in your artwork that like you're known for?
I think there's a lot of different kind of themes throughout my artwork depending on the theme of my life that I'm kind of in. But right now, the constant theme is music. They're very interconnected for me. A lot of my portraiture is of musicians out of their lyrics. So I use those words to create the images of the artist. But I think really my life inspires it, like in terms of just, it's how I process the world.
Gotcha.
So, yeah.
Okay. Is your art mostly like digital or physical? Because I've seen your art studio, right? You have a lot of actual canvases.
Yeah.
But I feel like in this digital age, you know, a lot of people end up being more digital than physical.
Yeah, I feel like it's really both. A lot of my actual art pieces are physical, and then I digitize them to make prints or stickers or other things like that. But I also do commissions for, graphic design. Like I'm working on a magazine right now, logos, t-shirt designs. So like, it's kind of like both sides of what I do, like the design and the fine art kind of piece.
And do you think in today's world that the physical art is still very important, or do you feel like it has lost a lot of importance?
I think like how you answer that is relative. I think for me, like there will always be something about the physical art that means something that the digital can't, because it's tangible, and I think we as humans like crave tangible things. Because it's one thing to look at a picture on a screen, but I don't know, meaning finds itself more in things that can only be made once.
Gotcha.
For me.
Yeah, well, I think it's personal, right?
It is, for
because
sure.
your artwork, I assume, is very personal to you.
Yeah.
Do you think you have a art piece that you're most proud of?
Ooh, I think I'm most proud. It's like one of two pieces. Either the piece I did of my mom and I, like when I was a baby, she's holding me when I'm a baby.
Oh, that's
and
amazing.
Yeah. And I wrote her life story, like to create the image of her and me. And then kind of like painted a background. Or the piece I did of my grandma. And it's the same concept where I interviewed her and had her basically tell me her life story from beginning to end, and then use those words to create the portrait and painted things around it.
Wow. So is there like a series that you have? Is there something like through the art that could kind of like, I guess, tell your story?
Yeah, well, like that, those pieces were from a series I did called Mirrors. And so basically the idea is that you, like the people you surround yourself with, you're mirrors of them, whether that be like a quick meeting of a person or someone who's in your life for a long time. Does that kind of answer your question?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And along this journey, doing art visually, when did when the music become a part of that journey?
Yeah, music became a part of that journey, like starting my sophomore year of college. I had a physics class with an artist named BC, and I don't remember how it came about. I think it was a study session or something like that. And somehow he heard me sing to something, and then it turned out like he wanted me as a feature on his project, and I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. Like I've never, and so I ended up recording a feature with him, met some of his other like friends he worked with, and then it kind of just like slowly snowballed into something, met more people who did music, and ended up making my own music later. So.
Okay. And how would you describe, like, what is your genre of music that you tend to lean into?
I think it's R&B, kind of neo soul, but there's definitely some elements of like singer songwriter, and some of the stuff I'm working on now, it's a bit more acoustic. And I'm definitely also inspired by like older like soul music like Motown, but also like 70s rock Fleetwood Mac. So I think all those things do serve as inspirations, even though my genre is R&B soul.
Okay. You know, I was listening to one of your EPs, and I just want to
Ooh.
make sure I get this quote right.
Yeah.
So you have a song called "See Through,"
Yeah.
and on that song it says, "I'm sensitive,
Yeah.
but I'm strong as fuck."
Yeah.
Right? And it reminded me of Erica Badu saying that, you know, she's an artist, you know, and I'm
sensitive
sensitive
about my
about,
shit.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
Right. So, you know, are you sensitive about your art visually or musically and how it's perceived?
I think I'm more sensitive about my music than I am about my visual art. I think as a singer, it's hard to, and I've talked about this with Alora, who's one of my good best friends, and she's also a singer.
Oh yeah, she's amazing.
Like amazing.
Yeah.
But we've talked about how hard it is to separate your personal identity and your worth from what it is that you're putting out in your singing, because they're hearing yourself. And as you walk about the world, even when you're talking like I'm talking to you, my only like the soundtrack to me and who I am is that sound. So when someone doesn't like something that you put out that sounds like you, it's like it feels like it's about you. And so, you know, it's definitely feels more personal in that way.
Do you struggle with that at times?
Struggle. Is this a therapy session?
Well, you know, I
No.
think it's like going deeper into
No,
the
it is.
mindset, you know, because I think we do hear a lot of different albums, right,
For
from great
sure.
artists over time, and it seems very, very personal.
Yeah.
And I always think, you know, you record this song or you write before you record. Do you ever look at that and say, I don't know if I want to put that out? Maybe is that too personal?
My problem is that's kind of my brand, is that it's personal. There's definitely moments where it's uncomfortable, but I think I know that my truest, like the necessary things that I have to put out for me are the things where I'm vulnerable. I think people want permission to be vulnerable, and in the way the world works, there's not always people sort of showing that that's okay. And I think part of my calling as an artist is to make that space feel safe.
Got it. And I guess through that, have you felt that you were able to connect to fans a lot more because of that? Do you feel like you've had fans come up to you and say, hey, I listened to that song and it really spoke to me?
Yeah, I hesitate to even call it fan. I think it's just like people who resonate with the emotion that I'm portraying. And I think, yeah, there are people. I think one of the main things that I've heard that really means a lot to me when people say it is that it feels calming or healing. Because my music for me does that, you know, for my own journey, it's healing for me to be able to release it. So the fact that that emotion can be sort of portrayed and absorbed by the people listening is like, okay, I'm doing something, is transferring in the way that I want.
Got it.
Yeah.
If someone came to you and said, okay, what is one song from your catalog that really they should start out with? What would be the first song to introduce them to you?
I feel like typically I tell people Friday. I think that song, like, it's a special song in my journey. It was the only song I made for 2 years. It was like the only song. But it was the song that I was supposed to make in that 2 years. And I think it captures my songwriting ability, but also the intimacy that I like to portray through my music. And yeah.
And what was it about that it took 2 years, right? Because that seems like a, you know, like a long stretch, right? You know?
The song itself took like 1 day.
Got it.
Yeah. It wasn't a 2 year, but I took like a break in that period of time where I just couldn't make anything. I had writer's block. Nothing good was happening. It was like also pandemic, where a lot of people were making music during the pandemic, but so much of my experience in writing is like me writing about my life and what's going on. And I had a hard time doing that when it was just so foreign and weird. And like, I'm not going anywhere and doing anything really, like, you know? So yeah, I don't know. As artists, I think sometimes we just have times where you're forcing it. And it's like, I don't know. I don't want to force it when it doesn't feel, you know.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. And that's probably why people will gravitate to you more, because they can tell that, this
Yeah.
is not actually who you are.
Yeah.
It's just something you're trying to portray.
Right.
And how do you balance between the visual and musical side of yourself? I think I asked you this one
I think I
time. I think the first
I think I laughed then too.
yeah. Look, when I met you at your studio, I
Mm-hmm.
asked you a question, could one live without the other? And I think you told me at that time, no.
Yeah.
If I took away, even though you said you kind of lean more into the music side, but if you were to take away, the visual side, you said it wouldn't
No.
be whole.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's like two sides of the same coin for me. It's like two mediums of the same, you say like a medium is like acrylic paint or charcoal or, but for me, it's more like a medium of sound or sight or like working with my hands. It kind of activates all the different parts of like what I need to feel like a person who's just like moving about the world in a way that feels right to me.
Yeah. When you have like collaborations with other artists, and I've seen like all the great videos, please, we're going to post the links. Please check out her
We're
music
going to.
and everything, right?
Please.
When you're collaborating with other people, have you received any advice that really stuck out to you as you started your journey?
I'm trying to think. I'm
Or
gonna
even
blank. Of
along
course
the way,
it
not even
matters.
just starting. But
I think one of the things that I've most recently, and like it wasn't from one of the artists that I've working with, but we were having the discussion about this conversation. But it's the creator, what he said about like play like a child, edit like a scientist, or something like that. I don't know if I'm quoting it exactly, but that's been a conversation that I've had with several artists that I've worked with recently, and I think so much. Sometimes you get so caught up on that process like, oh, while it has to be perfect while I'm making it, and you miss that magic sometimes, that childlike magic where you capture just like the feel when you overthink when it's in its infancy, right? So that's something that I'm definitely working on, and that like I feel like is a common theme in different people that I've worked with recently.
at what point do you start taking it so serious that you miss the childlike? Is it because you want to produce music that sounds so good, and you focus on the minute details and not the creativity?
I think for me, it's the expectation, because it's like when there are no expectations on you yet, you kind of just do what you want. No one's expecting you to be good, but there comes a point at which people are expecting something of a certain level from you, and then you sort of lose sight of the fact that what got you here was you just playing, and not playing in an unserious way, but playing in a like honoring your inner child way. So it's like you have to catch yourself like, this process of me being so anal about it right now is not what got me here. All that stuff matters on the back end. Absolutely. But when you're putting the idea out, let the idea just be what it is,
Yeah. And the art, like creating art, seems to be such a grind, right?
Yeah.
You talk about, being childlike and letting it come naturally, but I presume, you have goals. Like what is your ultimate goal? Maybe like 5-10 years from now, how do you see yourself musically or, visually as far as your art?
I think for me, musically, like what I always say when people ask me this question is I want to go as far as I can without changing who I am. And I don't know exactly what that's going to look like. I don't know how far that means I'll be able to go or not go. But I think for me, what matters to me is my authenticity as a person, because that's maybe the artist I am. And if I lose the authenticity, I'll lose the reason that I'll lose my identity. And I can't lose that.
Got it. Non-negotiable.
Yeah, non-negotiable.
What keeps you motivated as you are pursuing your passions in music and visual arts?
I think for me, like, it's very internal. It's just kind of how I perceive the world. It's how I view the world. And I have this sort of internal motor to do it. I don't know how to explain it really any other way. Like, it's what I need to do. It's what I do. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, that seems very convicted, inside of yourself. I think so many people want to pursue different things in life, and they're not as consistent with it. And so the dream is never realized. But it seems like you wake up and it's just something inside of you that says, I have to write that song.
No, right.
I have to produce that song. I have to.
And sometimes it's intuition. Sometimes it's like I have to turn my wants off. Well, not, in that way, but like, this is what we got to get done today. This is what I get to do. I have a beautiful life where I get to like create artwork to fund my music. Like at the end of the day, my life is not that bad. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
So like, I always try to keep that in perspective, that this is what I get to do,
Yeah. And we were talking a little bit before this, and you mentioned helping kids and teaching children. Is that an important part of how you give back to the community through your art?
Yeah, it's definitely a facet of it for sure. I only do it during the summer, so it's not like I'm out here doing it all the time. But I really just have taught in the summers at the North Carolina Museum of Art's summer camps for like 5 years now. And I love doing it. It's such I feel like I always, like I'm teaching them, but the cliche, like they always teach me something, but they do. There's an element of like, they don't think so much about what they're about to do. If you tell them like, draw a giraffe, like, okay. And they'll draw one. I can't draw a giraffe. It's not going to be great, but sometimes you realize when you just do it, it's like your perspective comes out in the process. And sometimes the doing of it is how you learn how to do it right,
Yeah. And I think that goes back to being childlike, right?
For sure.
So you're teaching children and they don't have all these other things blocking, their creativity.
Right.
Before we go, I wanted to ask, is there any new music coming?
Yes.
Oh man. Okay.
There's a new album.
Okay.
Well, technically my first album I'm working on, and this is the first time I've mentioned it.
Okay.
But no, it's called Confessions of a People Pleaser. And I'm working on it with Josh Emick out of Studio at 68 in Greensboro. He's been helping me do it top to bottom, all live instrumentation, and it'll be out early next year, like first quarter next year.
That's amazing. That's amazing. What has that process been like, full live instrumentation?
Like, I have learned and grown so much as an artist. Like, I thought I knew what I was doing, but I was working with training wheels. Like, don't get me wrong. I love a beat. I love an instrumental, but coming in where you're having to like be part of the process, building it from scratch with no bone structure to work with, it is a totally different level of knowing where you want to go and how you want to sort of make it happen. And a lot of that I'll attribute to Josh, because he's doing like all the executive producing. But obviously, like if there's things I like or don't like, I'm saying like, hey, like this, that, or whatever. But even from me as a singer's point of view, with it being so open, I've learned so much about my voice, and even like, I'm like, oh, like I need to get a lot better at this, that, and I think you sort of hit a point where you're like, oh, like I'm pretty good, and then I feel like now I've gotten past the point where I was like, oh, I'm pretty good. And I'm like, no, I have like so much left to learn. But I'm probably better than I've ever been. So it's that,
Yeah.
The more you know, the more you know.
And then working with great people, like you're
Oh my God.
mentioning, push you to be better.
Like, I'm like, man, I got some work to do,
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
But in a positive way.
Absolutely, because I think the music is amazing. I've listened to your music, and when I go around town, as I've said before, if I mention your name, people know you. So, just congratulations on all the work you've already put out, and we're looking forward to the new EP. Is there anything we should expect from the EP that you can say, kind of give us a...
So I'm working on an EP and an album, but
EP, album, sorry.
No,
album.
yeah, you're good. But I'm working on both. As far as from the album, it's very introspective. It's definitely, it kind of touches on my experience with religious trauma, with like personal experience, with romantic relationships, but also just kind of me coming into my own, into adulthood, and finding that groundedness in myself and what that looks like for me. And it's constantly evolving, and I'm cool with that. But I think I'm glad that like this album will be this timestamp of my life. It's been a special timestamp of my life, and I'm excited for that to be what sort of gets, laminated in this era.
That's awesome. I love to hear it. Well, thank you for coming to the show.
You're
I
welcome.
appreciate it.
Of course.
Obviously, we're going to put all the links to everything. Please go follow CJ.
Please.
An amazing artist. Look at her visual art. Music is amazing. And obviously, we got an exclusive that we got an album on the way. I'm looking forward to it. Thank you for coming.
Of course. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Peace.